Hello everyone and welcome back to the Kyoasters reviews here we're concentrating right here on the King of the Ring pay-per-views. It of course started in 1993. We reviewed the 1993 one on our last episode. Today we're going to review 1994's King of the Ring. It of course went on up to 2002, which was the last of the King of the Ring tournaments, and they decided to not bother with the King of the Ring tournament after that, but from 93 to 2002 provided 10 or 11, I think it's 10, great King of the Rings, and, well, 10 okay King of the Ring. Overall they were grand, but the best of them probably was 93, 96, and maybe 97 and 98 were okay as well, but the rest of them I thought were a bit dodgy. But King of the Ring 1994 took place in June 94. That's of course one of the reasons we're doing this, is because we're coming up to June and we're going to try and do all the reviews of each King of the Ring now leading up to June. King of the Ring 94 was of course a lot of stuff, transitional stuff going on in the WWF at this stage. McMahon was trying out the new generation. It was doing okay. The WWF was doing okay. Had a lot of good, well, to be honest, it was dipping big time, but had a few good pay-per-views in 1993. Nothing compared to back in between 87 and 92, but it was doing okay. WWF, very, compared to WCW, it was probably still a better product, with Hogan and all having jumped ship to WCW at this stage. He hadn't actually debuted in WCW, but he was in talks with WCW at this stage. Hogan, Savage, well, Savage was still there as a commentator. Hogan, Mean Gene, the main announcer, Bobby Heenan, probably the best color analyst of all time. They were all jumped ship to WCW at this stage. So when you think about that, they are core things in the making of a good pay-per-view. So McMahon was pretty hard. He was in a bit of hard times as far as talent goes. They had some big main event stars, such as they had Diesel, who was on top of his game at this point. Bret the Hitman Hart, The Undertaker was still on top, but he was actually gone at this stage. He was out. The storyline had him out of action for a while during this point in time. Other people such as Jerry the King Lawler, they had brought back, at this stage they had brought back people like the legend Roddy Piper. He came back and was in a match at the King of the Ring in 1994. We'll start the card now for you. The first match on the card, of course, was part of the tournament. The tournament even wasn't near as good. The talent on the tournament card wasn't near as good as the 1993 tournament. You had IRS going up against Mabel in the free-for-all part of the show. That was the match before that started the actual show. And IRS progressed in that particular match. Then, of course, Razor Ramon went up against Bam Bam Bigelow. They had Razor Ramon progress. And then Jeff Jarrett went up against the 1-2-3 Kid. And in that particular match, Jeff Jarrett progressed. After that, you had Owen Hart go up against Tatanka, and Owen Hart progresses. None of these matches were particularly entertaining. I can't recall thinking any of them particular matches were very entertaining, and they were a bit of a letdown because anybody in the States, we didn't buy pay-per-views here, we just seen them free on Sky Sports, well not free, but on Sky Sports as regular shows, as we always did for the events up until recently. But in America, you can imagine people having to buy some of these events, and they're terrible. You know, they're a lot better than buying a boxing event and maybe it lasts in 2 seconds, or a few seconds, but at the same time, the cards, some of these cards in 93, or 94, 95 in particular, were desperate as far as WWF goes. No wonder their buy rates were going down. So, the first round of the King of the Ring tournament in 1994 wasn't very good, but the people progressing made for pretty good semi-final matches. And after the first round of the tournament, we had the big match between Roddy Piper and Jerry the King Lawler, which was, of course, the secondary storyline in the WWF at this time. Piper and Lawler was picking fun at Roddy Piper and had different gimmicks of him, like people pretend to be him on the King's Court segment, of course, which is his famous interview segment he had in 93, 94, 95. And Lawler and Piper had a good match, King of the Ring 94. It went seesaw, kind of. They both had up periods in the match, but it ended up with Piper winning that particular matchup. And then, of course, Piper left and wasn't seen for about a year. But, you know, stuff like that, just to bring up the buy rates for the pay-per-view, they brought in big names for certain times over this couple of years that the money income of the company was dipping. Made sense. Then, the semi-finals of the tournament took place. And in the semi-finals, you seen IRS one-on-one with Razor Ramon. And this match was pretty good. They had a match at the Royal Rumble for the Intercontinental title that year. Was very entertaining. Of course, Shawn Michaels got involved, and that led to Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon's storyline for WrestleMania 10 when they had that very brilliant ladder match. And then this all made a lot of good progression. It made a lot of sense. These matches, you know, you could understand the WWF going down this way and having, you know, making these two guys meet because of their match at the Royal Rumble. There was a certain amount of interest in them having a rematch at King of the Ring. After that particular match, we've seen the other semi-final, which was, of course, Jeff Jarrett one-on-one with Owen Hart. It wasn't very entertaining. I thought it was come see, come sa, you know what I mean? It wasn't great.